Boys and girls, I'm hoping that you're getting something out of this. If not, it's a wonderful way of learning about the code, using it at the very beginning of our Bible even, and how this world situation works so perfectly with it. And so it also gives us a little more insight as to what they're talking about. And of course, this number 4 is about the world. It's about how to go from the left way of thinking to a right way of thinking. And this is where we go from wicked thinking to righteous, where we go from taking our own knowledge and our own ideas and our own understanding of the Bible to going and doing what God tells us to do and stop doing what we want to do. And voila, something beautiful will happen to us. All right, so I'm hoping that you're certainly getting something from this. All right, we are on chapter 8. Chapter 8 is about control. This is usually when, like when we go to Antarctica, or when we fly off to the moon or something like that. We put a flag in it, and say, "This is ours. This is mine. Claim it. It's mine, baby." Now, in a lot of stories that we've talked about in the past, if you haven't gone down into my past in the future, or in the past of my videos, you would find some fairy tales also involved in these stories, and they're up to their neck in these things just as well. But there was this one idea where the four musicians were on their way to the great city, and on their way, when they were out in the middle of the woods, did they find this little house where the light was on, and it was full of robbers and thieves. That's usually this part right here. This is that little house they came to in the middle of the fields, and found it filled with robbers and thieves. These are the Chaldeans. And so they want to be in there. There was all kinds of food and all kinds of spoils and stuff in there, and they wanted them. So it's the idea of this is they want this inheritance. They would like to have this place. But anyways, what they did is they all four got together and they made one noise together, and we use the word Om, and they fell right through the window of that house. That's the window. That's where the window would show up in the stories. This is how you lend your ear to talk about these things. And I have been doing this for a couple of years now, and I have really got my ears trimmed, this one trimmed, to the sound of the Spirit, all right? So what they did when they made it to this little house, they all four got together. They were all wanting to be musicians anyways, and this is what they wanted to do. They occupied this house. They fell through the window, and who was in there split. I hightailed it out of there. Well, when the number 8 comes on in the story, this is the idea of this guys were coming back. They came back to this house. They found that the lights were quiet now. They wanted back in. They wanted back. This was their place. But what they did there, they sent one guy into the story. In the story, they sent one guy back to this house, and he snuck in the back door, right? He made it into the kitchen, that's the idea. This is the where we're at right now, because it's an interior thing. It's an inside thing. And when we go into the kitchen, that's the girl side of things. And what they found a kitty cat, and the kitty cat scratched at him. And so it scared the hell out of him. And as he was running out the back door, there was a dog hanging out by the bottom of it. And the dog barked at him or did something. But it said stabbed him in his foot, or his side, his leg or something, all right? That symbolism about someone stabbing someone in their side or in their leg. It's very interesting, but this is symbolism also. That's the dog, all right? It's the messenger. And so when it goes outside, it runs into, it runs in to the mule, all right? And the mule bops it in the head. And then as it keeps on running down the road, there's the chickens up on the top of the roof, and it says, "Toss the bitch up here, I'll take care of him," So it shows how it's now ours, and they run off the robbers, and they run them off. This is 8. This is a control situation. It's mine now. Also though, at the beginning of the situation, when God commanded her not to do certain things, and then all this curse happened, this is also a control number. I am giving control over you to your oppressors. Hand us right over to the devil. All right? That's what God does. All right? That's the truth. That's what our Bible tells us. Okay? It also is telling us how to fix it. Right off the bat. Gee, this is how you're going to fix this. Okay? Let's go and see what chapter 8 is going to talk about. Now that I've told you what we're supposed to listen for. Okay? This is so much fun. So we're up here. We're going to go to chapter 8. Chapter 8 is going to be, again, we're looking at the King James Bible. It's the only Bible that we use when we are mining for the spiritual side of our Bible. Number 8. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. All right, stopped. So this was number 1. And he's being remembered. Being remembered means he's being restored. That's what remembered. I'm remembering this. So I'm bringing it back to life. I'm remembering this. All right. Now the fountains also of the deep in the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. Remember, rain represents the Spirit. I mean, you're just overflowing. This is how at the end of the wrath is God's just going to just going to drown you in this blood and stuff like that. But, blood is spirit. So you're being drowned and you're being, just being filled with copious amounts of the Spirit. It just sounds really awful. All right. 3. And the waters returned from the earth continually. And at the end of 150 days, the waters were abated. Let's count up 150. That'd be 6. Right? And at the end of 150 days, so it'd be 5 and 1. It's a 6. So after the works, and the ark rested on the 7th month, on the 7th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. This is the east. It's always going to be a mountainous situation. This is where it's come to rest. It's on the 17th day. That's a 1 and 7. There's an 8 there. All right? 8. We're in chapter 8. It's come to rest. All right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. The ark is coming to the top of a mountain for rest. That's the whole point of the story. All right? This is what his job is to come in and take away the curse. Do you understand? And bring rest back to it. That's the whole point of this. All right? And the waters decreased and continually until the 10th month. And until the 10th month. And on that first day of the month were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. This is the second one. After it finally stopped, all right, he opened the window that he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went to and fro until the waters were dried up off of the earth. So it never come back. This one here is 8. Also, he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark. So no mother yet, no mother. All right, she couldn't find a place to rest the sole of her foot. All right, right? That's pretty cool. All right, and now number 10. And he stayed yet another 7 days. And again, he sent forth a dove out of the ark. This is this this is this is where you can move things. This is the flight. This is where the eagle is in the story. This is the fowl of the air. This is how you figure this whole thing out. This was the negative situation over here when he let out the raven. But here he's put out a dove here. All right. And so this is number 14, is it? No, it isn't. And he stayed for 7 days. And again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and lo, there in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from the earth. This is number 11. All right. And he stayed yet another 7 days and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. This is number 12. 12 is the idea that the bird is the sign. All right. And here it is 12. He lets this bird go after 7 more, and it returned not unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 600th day in the first year, the first month, and the first day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked in, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. This is number 13. The face of the ground was dry. Number 14. And in the second month, and on the 7th and 20th day of the month was the earth dried. Now let's do this. Second month is 2, 7, 8, 9. That was 9. And on the second month, on the 7th and 20th day, was it all dried. This is a good sign. 9, conscious number 9 is it's a good thing. They're all dried out. And God spake unto Noah, saying, this is number 15, go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons wives with thee. This is number 16. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, all the flesh, both fowl and whatever, la 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 la. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. And every beast, and every creepy little thing, and every fowl, and whatever creepeth on the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings for the altar. And the Lord smelled the sweet savor. That's this one. This is what I talked about, how he just loves when you can make a sacrifice. He loves that. He loves that smell of your burning flesh. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat and summer and winter, the day and night shall not cease. This is number 22. All right, so we wound up with the last two. Sun and night. There's once you finally make it over to this thing, there's no change. You don't need the dark. You don't need a light in the dark. There is no darkness. Everything is beautiful. This is a very positive situation when we finally make it over here. All right. He smelled, and for man's sake, it says, he will never again smite anymore every living thing ever done. And the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. This means you go on forever and ever and ever. All right. This is meant the number 8. Number 8 is a control number, and it's just showing you that God has commanded, come on out of that house. Come on out. Smell the flowers. You'll never be the same after this point. This is beautiful. All right. This is chapter 8. Chapter 8 is about control. And after all this business of the doves and the window and the placement of everything, it's this idea that it's going to make sure that it's good and dead. And even those sevens came in threes. He had to wait 7 times and then 7. Jesus tells people you got to go bathe in the Jordan River 7 times. All right. And the Jordan River winds up being our Kundalini system itself. So it's what we have to bathe in is ourselves. We have to go in within ourselves. Now, whether or not we have to go in and have this happen 7 times in order to stick, the way that it's been showing up is that it's just one time, and it takes care of everything all at one time. That's what it says. That's what our Bible says. All right, so that was chapter 8. All right, let's go on to 9. 9 must be where the covenant comes in. All right, let's see how it works. All right, I sure do hope you're getting something out of this because it's making more sense to me.